welcome back to my channel. It's Christina at Homeschooling Grace. And today's video is all about Little Women. Let me get it. Little Women. So I have just started reading this and I'm really embarrassed to say like it's taken me 35 years to read this finally. But I'm super excited to share with you why I feel like this is so important for homeschool moms to read and what we can learn from Little Women as homeschool moms. So let's dive in. Okay, so I made a list. Of the top 5 things that we can learn from Little Women. And I'm only 100 pages in, so this might be like part 2. There may be a part 2 to come, part 3, I don't know. Because this is only from the first 100 pages that I have learned from this. Number 1 thing that I have learned as a homeschool mom from Little Women is that all our children have different personalities. If you read Little Women, if you've seen the movies, you know that each daughter has an incredibly different personality. Jo is one for a flair for the dramatics. She also is a tomboy. Meg is very much into looking fancy and going out and being social. Beth is an introvert, extreme introvert, struggles with people like large crowds of any sort. And then Amy is also pretty social, but is the baby of the family and loves being the baby, I should say. So anyways, I have learned, even as being a homeschool mom, you will learn the more children you have, how different their personalities are. And it has been so fun to read this and see these different personalities kind of fleshed out in the story. I always knew that they were different, each of the girls, but to actually read it, and in the very beginning it talks about each of their personalities and how their struggles with different things or just what they're dealing with and how they're just so different. It's just so funny how I've had 5 daughters and each one that has come out is so different from the other. Like, they're just night and day. So that was number 1 that you will learn as a homeschooling mom, that your kids have different personalities. So from that, you're going to have to parent them differently. So the number 2 thing that I've learned from Little Women is how to deal with conflict. If you've read the book or seen the movies, spoiler alert, I'm going to give some spoilers. There is a part where Amy throws Jo's story into the fire, and Jo is raging, angry about it. Anyone would be so angry about it. And you think Marmee should do more to deal with Jo's anger about it, but she doesn't. She stays pretty quiet about it and kind of lets it simmer and see where it goes from there. And Meg tells Amy the day that they go to the pond with Lori, or the day that Jo goes to the pond with Lori, that you should just go along with them. She's already promised it to you. Just go along with them and see what happens. So she does, and if you've seen the movie, you know what happens, or read the book, that Amy falls into the water and it becomes this, Jo finally wakes up to her anger. And I feel like as homeschool moms, we can struggle with anger, our children can struggle with anger, and how can we help that heart issue? Because there's always going to be that heart issue. And Marmee talks about it so beautifully. She first of all leads her back to the Word of God. She leads her to the Bible and tells her to not go to bed while you're angry. She also gives life examples of how she dealt with anger herself. She talks about how she used to be so angry, especially when the children were younger. And she would, instead of continuing in this anger, she went to the Lord and she continually asked Him for help. Let me look it up. Okay. I had to look for the passage about it. Okay, so Marmee's telling Jo about her own personal anger issues and how she has dealt with it. And so it goes on from, I'm not sure what chapter. I've been trying to cure it for 40 years and have only succeeded in controlling it. I am angry nearly every day of my life, Jo, but I have learned not to show it. and I still hope to learn not to feel it, though it may take me another 40 years to do so. Oh my goodness. And then she goes on to say that how her husband has helped her deal with her own anger. Your father, Joe, he never loses patience, never doubts or complains, but always hopes and works and waits so cheerfully that one is ashamed to do otherwise before him. He helped and comforted me and showed me that I must try to practice all the virtues I would have my little girls possess, for I was their example. It was easier to try for your sakes than for my own. A startled or surprised look from one of you when I spoke sharply rebuked me more than any words could have done, and the love, respect, and confidence of my children was the sweetest reward I could receive for my efforts to be the woman I would have them copy. Wow. So, letting your children, knowing that your children are seeing you and they're copying you, just as Marmee says that she saw that her children were watching her, and she knew that she had to find a way to control her anger. I just thought that's profound. I think sometimes we think, well, they'll do better than us. They'll do better than us. But we need to remember we're always teaching them. We're always their disciple. We need to make sure that what they're seeing from us, that we don't want them to copy that. Because they will eventually. They could. I mean, she has a daughter that has anger issues and she flies off the rails. And she knows, Jo knows now from talking with her mother, that her mom has the same struggles and that she is trying to work on them. And now she has someone else that she can confide in that is fighting the good fight, that she's trying so hard not to have these anger issues. I just thought, what an amazing way to teach conflict and how to teach behavior, I guess I should say, or a character quality. Because it's quite, I just think it's wonderful. Okay, so let's see here. The last part of that was that she let herself go to bed with being angry, and at the very end, Amy wakes up gently and Jo whispers to her, I let the sun go down on my anger. I wouldn't forgive her. And today, if it hadn't been for Lori, it might have been too late. How could I be so wicked? And then it continues on. As if she heard, Amy opened her eyes and held out her arms with a smile that went straight to Jo's heart. Neither said a word, but they hugged one another close in spite of the blankets, and everything was forgiven and forgotten in one hearty kiss. And isn't that so special that the daughters were able, after this conversation with her mother, they were able to resolve that conflict, and it was forgiven and it was forgotten. I just thought that was so beautiful. Okay, so that was number 2. And now we're going to go on to socialization. Okay, that's always the big taboo word in homeschooling. But I found it so neat in the story let me back up. Jo went to go visit Lori for the first time, and he seemed so sad. And then he talks about how there was a window to their living room or something, and he would watch them. And he's like, I'm sorry, I hope that doesn't sound strange, but he's like, there's so much joy and happiness in your home, and I just wish I could be there. And she promises to always leave those curtains open so that he can see into their family and just be a part of it. And there's something so beautiful about homeschool families, I think, or any family. I mean, seeing into their lives and being a part, and when there's a large family that you can see just how much fun they're having together, instead of thinking, oh, they're so socially awkward, but actually there's so much love when they're all together. And I know that for my own family. I mean, my goodness, I have 5 daughters, there's 7 of us all together, and some days you'd probably want to peer in because it's just beautiful things are happening. It's just fun. We're having fun. We're playing games together. We're playing music together. We're, enjoying life together. There's also days where you don't want to look in because we're having struggles. It's a Monday. It's life. But I just thought that was so neat to see that looking in, other families wanted to be a part of this family, and the neighbors, and getting your neighbors involved in your life. And I think that for myself personally, I struggle sometimes with, going and being social with our neighbors. And they were definitely social with their neighbors, and they were loving to their neighbors. They were kind to their neighbors. They looked after them. They took gifts to them. When they were struggling, they'd give up their Christmas breakfast for them. And we need to be that way. We need to be the hands and feet of God and do that and be loving to our neighbors and show them Christ. So that was number 3 of what I've learned from Little Women. Okay, moving on. Number 4, sibling friendship. Reading this, the sibling friendship's pretty remarkable. So for each of them, there were 2 groups of siblings. So it was Meg and Amy, and then Joe and Beth, and they kind of looked after each other. And they were just friends. They all were friends at times, but they each had their kind of partner that they could look to when they were having a bad day. And they didn't have to go searching out friends to bring in. They could be just friends within their family. And I just thought that was so neat. Oh, I hope and desire that my girls grow up wanting to be friends. I'm friends with my sisters. I love my sisters. And I know that my husband, he didn't have any brothers, and he wished that he did, because there's something about that same gender, the friendship that can happen, and his sisters are close, and myself and my sisters are close, and there's just something about it. I just think it's really neat, the sibling friendships that can be learned from this. And it actually, after reading that part, I was like, I need to buddy up my kids so that they can feel like there's this extra bond between them, like they are looking after each other, either helping each other, with the littler ones, helping them get teeth brushed or get dressed for the day or breakfast made. There's something about that responsibility for the older ones, and for the littler ones to feel like they're extra taken care of by an older sibling. I just think it's this neat bond and relationship between them. So number 5, the last thing so far that I have learned from Little Women is to be resilient and endure. So if at this time, so again, I'm only 100 pages in, but I've seen the movies. I haven't seen the newest movie, but I saw the older movie with Winona Ryder. That their father is gone to the war, and times are hard. And I just think that we're in this time of day that we don't really know what it's like to endure or to be resilient. But I think that every day there is a time where we have to endure. We have to endure the hard days of homeschooling. We have to endure if your husband's in the military and him going overseas, or him leaving or being gone for weekends, or even if it's your husband's regular job and he has to go somewhere, or if something has happened in your family, if there's been a death or divorce or anything like that, and we have to be resilient to these hard situations, and we have to endure. I just think that we can learn a lot from them, from the girls, on endurance and being resilient, because God calls us to endure this life as a Christian, to endure life. It's not simple. And I thought it was so neat. I was reading in Genesis about Jacob and Jacob and Joseph. And Joseph is in Egypt, and he brings his father to Egypt finally, and Jacob gets to go and meet the Pharaoh, and the Pharaoh is like, so how has life been for you? And he's like, it has been a hard 130 years, but I'm still here, like something like that. And that when he says it's been a hard 130 years, I thought, wow, first of all, it's lived to 130, but plus he doesn't say, oh, this walk has been so easy because I've had God right next to me. It's still hard. Life is always going to be hard. And I just thought, oh, what a tie-in to this. They're also going through hard times. I'm going through hard times. Everyone's going through hard times, but can we be resilient? Can we endure? And can we teach that to our children? That's the part that we have to remember. We have to remember to teach them resilience and endurance. And so that comes to a conclusion for this video. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope you learned some fun facts about the book. Go read it for yourself. And if you have read it, let me know. I think I get to go see the movie this coming weekend. And so I'm really excited. I didn't get to finish the book before it, but I'm trying. But hopefully I'll have more videos to come, maybe a part 2, a part 3, I don't know. There's so much more to read. I'm definitely going to learn more from it. So Thank you so much for watching this, and here is another video that you can go and watch. And what are you reading right now, and are you learning lots from it? If you are, let me know down below. I love to see what others are reading and add to my great book. My stack of books by my bed keeps growing and growing, so please let me know what you're reading at home as well. And I will see you at the next video, alright? Bye-bye!